One of the most important things when you're setting up your contact center, of course, is making sure that your inbound callers are well taken care of. And obviously, we want to make sure that the agents are alerted of these calls correctly, and it follows all the alerting methods that we have in place. But then also, what is their experience like in the queue while they're waiting to talk to an agent, and making sure that it's as good as we can possibly deliver. So that's what we're going to look at today. More specifically, we're going to look at exception handling within a Landis Contact Center queue, and the settings that you can put in place to manage these calls in the event that an agent is not able to get to the call within the allotted time. So we're going to dive into a queue here. I'm just going to go into queue settings. This is a queue that I already have created here. We have the general settings. This is where we're setting all the routing methods and alert types and adding the agents and things like that. We have other things like managing the business hours and the messages within the queue and those types of things. We're going to look specifically, though, at the exception handling tab here. And this is where we're setting all of those, those settings for if an agent doesn't get to it. How long do we want to let this caller wait in queue? And then what options do we want to give them if they're tired of waiting? So obviously, enabling a queue timeout allows us to set a timeout action. And this is not up to the caller. This is just once they've been in queue for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever you have that set to, it will automatically take a certain action. That could be hitting a rollover queue or an emergency queue or ringing through a voicemail. It could be, I know some contact centers, if your agents don't get to it in a certain amount of time, then you have a third-party answering service that will kick in and assist the overflow. That could be set up here as well, where once it hits a timeout, it could be sent to a third-party PSTN phone number. We can also select this option here, which allows the timeout to be hit immediately if no agents are available. So instead of waiting the full duration of 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever we have that set to, if it sees that no agents are signed into the queue and available, it could immediately hit that timeout action instead of letting the caller sit there for 5 minutes if there's no one available. So an example would be if everyone's signed out for a team meeting or something like that, it could immediately recognize that and hit the timeout action straight away. Now, we also have a whole section here dedicated to breakout options. So the difference between a timeout and a breakout, obviously a timeout is you've hit the allotted time. We're going to send you to voicemail. We're going to send you to this other destination. The caller really doesn't have a choice. Breakout gives the caller a choice. So we can allow them to remain on hold while they wait for an agent. Or if they would rather, press 1 to leave a voicemail or press 2 to receive a callback from an agent instead of waiting. We can also give them other options. Another option might be you have using the Landis IVR, you can create a natural language AI voice assistant that can listen to what the caller is asking about. It can give information, it can do lookups, it can answer basic questions. And maybe if no one's able to get to it if no human's able to get to it in a certain amount of time, you could offer that as an option for the caller. So those are just some examples of things you can do. I'm going to drill down on one of these use cases, which is probably the most common, and that is if they don't want to wait on hold, we can offer them a callback from an agent. And so what I would recommend here is we'll set the breakout option to a queue or IVR. We can then, if I just sidestep here over to the IVRs, we have an IVR that is created just for this action. So in this case, they would be routed, let's say they press 2 indicating they would like a callback. It would route to the IVR. It can then do a number of different things. It can do whatever you want to. It can play certain messages thanking them and instructing them that an agent will call them back. In this scenario here, we see giving them the option to give a different callback number or confirming rather that the number that they're calling from is the one they want called back at, and giving them the option to leave a new number instead. We also have a pretty handy feature here in this particular use case called a get reason block. In this case, it is asking the caller what topic or what this call is in regards to. And the caller can just, in this case, we have a voice input. They can speak in natural speaking language why they're calling, and it will then capture that information within the IVR. And then the last step I'll just show here is on the analytics. We actually have a dedicated callback request page that the agents would have access to, where they can see these callback requests that are listed in the IVR, and even a little AI summary there indicating what the caller said this callback is in regards to. So as the agent goes to return a call, they have all the context and information. So we drilled down on one particular use case there, but just to kind of come back to the exception handling once again, basically you have all the options here within a Landis Contact Center queue to make sure that these calls are going to be handled the way you would expect them to. The callers have as good of an experience as possible, and you have detailed call flows and actions in place that if your agents aren't able to get to the call is still handled in a good fashion. If you have any more questions, of course, reach out to us. We'd love to look at your contact center configuration and instruct on how it could be improved and answer any questions. Of course, you can reach us at the website landistechnologies.com.